गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत गदाधर शिवासरि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So text 4. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma.
Nunam pramattah kurute vikarma.
Yad indriya pritaya apranoti.
Yad indriya pritaya apranoti.
Na sadhu manye yatatmanoyam.
Na sadhu manye
yat atmanoyam.
Asannapi kleshat asadeha.
Asannapi kleshat asadeha.
Yeah, so please read this verse very carefully. Everyone who has the books, please read this verse. Prabhupada used to quote this quite often. And please meditate very carefully on what you are hearing. Hare Krishna. Yes, please read, Prabhu. Or Mataji.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Translation. When a person considers sense gratification the aim of life, he certainly becomes mad after materialistic living and engages in all kinds of sinful activity. He does not know that due to his past misdeeds, he has already received a body which, although temporary, is the cause of his misery. Actually, the living entity should not have taken on the material body, but he has been awarded the material body for sense gratification. Therefore, I think it not befitting an intelligent man to involve himself again in the activities of sense gratification, by which he perpetually gets material bodies one after another. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Begging, borrowing, and stealing to live for sense gratification is condemned in this verse because such consciousness leads one to a dark, hellish condition. The four sinful activities are illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. These are the means by which one gets another material body that is full of miseries. In the Vedas, it is said, Asango hi ayam purusha. The living entity is not really connected with this material world, but due to his tendency to enjoy the material senses, he is put into the material condition. One should perfect his life by associating with devotees. He should not become further implicated in the material body. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. See, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajat ante kalevaram tam tam evayati kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. Whatever state of being one remembers, that he attains in the next birth. Whatever state of being he remembers at the time of death. See, it is the mind, like Krishna is saying, it is the mind which is the worst enemy, and it is the mind which is the best of friends. Because all the ideas are formed in the mind. The desires, they emanate in the mind. Intelligence is merely an instrument that controls it. So if by means of intelligence one is able to acquire knowledge, he can control the mind. That's why bhakti is called buddhi yoga. But intelligence in itself does not have any desires. Intelligence remains an instrument. Now, you see, this is the point which, like I've been emphasizing last few sessions also. What is the objective of your life? Think of it very carefully. What is the objective? What do you seek to achieve in this life? So here it is very clearly said, Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma. Pramatta means, becoming mad. So one performs all kinds of actions. Yad indriya pritaya apranoti. Indriya pritaye apranoti. When one engages in sense gratification. So you see, even as devotees, many times we do not take bhakti seriously. We think that bhakti is a nice thing to do, but the real objective of life is to sustain this body and the paraphernalia associated with this body. So we have our house, we have the family, we have investments, we have career, and so many things, without realizing that these things are just temporary. So we make objective these temporary things, but bhakti, which is the real goal of life, we keep that as a side aim, just like a hobby, we keep aside. And therefore we are not able to develop love for Krishna. It's very difficult. When something is not our real objective, like for example, you see, there's a difference between a club cricketer and a professional cricketer. A club cricketer is only playing. He's something else. He may be a businessman, a salaried person, a professional, a retired man, whatever. But cricket is not his real aim. But a professional sportsman, for him, the sports are the profession. So he takes them very seriously. Therefore, you see there are professional sportsmen and there are hobby sportsmen, amateurs. So if you consider this analogy, so we can apply this in our lives also. What is the real goal of our life that we'll attain? We will always attain what we are aiming at. Prakriti will provide us. So if sense gratification is the goal of our life, that is what we are going to attain. And one should remember that, in this material world, Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita that every endeavor is covered with some fault, just like fire is covered with smoke. So activities of even a Brahmana are covered with sin. Brahmanas have to sacrifice animals. Brahmanas have to perform yajnas and sacrifice their own pious credits. So those are sinful activities. So if even a Brahmana's activities are sinful, what to speak of our activities? We are on the platform of Shudras. So every activity that we do will always have some sin attached to it. Now one may say, oh, I work as an automotive engineer. What is sinful there? Well, automobiles, they are working on mined materials, steel, plastics. Where are they coming from? They're mined from earth. There are big excavators which are digging up the earth. There are big drills which are digging the soil to get out the petroleum. Automobiles are running on that. So that is violence to Mother Earth. And we are promoting that violence by being automotive engineers. So in this way, every endeavor that we undertake in this world is covered with fault. Whatever we do, or otherwise we are endeavoring to achieve what we call nonsense activities. We are working in retail, we are working in management, nonsense activities. They are not promoting the real aim of life. We are furthering the cause of Maya through our profession. So in this way, we are constantly committing sins for the objective of achieving sense gratification. But Prabhu, I have to take care of my family. Indeed, you have to take care of your family. How do you do it? So at the time of death, will this family come to help you? So you consider it that way. If you look at life from the eyes of scriptures, then you will get the right perspective. So in this world, we see that people are practically mad. Completely, in fact. You see, Ahar, Nidra, Bhai, Maithun, only these 4 activities. Everyone is crazy. You take any sector of the industry and it fits into any one of these 4 categories. Okay, IT industry. Okay, Anandram Prabhu is asking. IT industry, banking, and hospitals. No. Let's take it one by one. What is IT industry? IT is essentially a support industry. So it's either supporting some finance, it is supporting some technology, internet, communication, or automation. All that is just what we call anarthas. Let's take 4-5 examples from IT. So say banking and finance. So what is that? Artificial system, virtual money. IT in banking is essentially virtual money. All the electronic transactions are supported by IT records and in IT transactions. Real money is gold. So gold banks don't deal with gold really in that sense. So it's mainly, and even if they do, it's just materialistic. So IT industry is virtual. Then so let's take the applications of IT. Say industrial automation. Industry is demonic. Industry, we know, Prabhupada has mentioned so many times, industry, factory, machines, they are demonic. IT industry supports that through industrial automation. IT supports banking, which essentially promotes stock markets and mutual funds, which are again demonic and sinful. Then IT industry is also supporting internet communication. Virtually, if we consider the traffic load of all transactions, if we consider the deep web, nearly 60 to 70% of IT industry is just nonsense, pure nonsense, entertainment, pornography, sinful, demonic, sinful, or at best anartha. So if we take devotional material on the internet, that may be like 0.001% or even less perhaps, or maybe not even countable actually. In fact, when I was working in one of the companies where we had access to ComScore, which tracks the global industry, there was no category called religion. There was manufacturing, IT, finance, there was like hundreds of categories, but no category called religion or spirituality. It was just lumped somewhere in general topics. So you see how minor it is. So rest of it is anartha. Then we talk of banking. Banking is what essentially? Lobha, greed, just promotion of greed. Invest, invest, invest. Just one tiny section of banking is all about really about savings. The rest of it is just about increasing your greed, investments. Then hospitals. Hospitals are certainly demonic. Modern medicine is Rakshasa medicine. You can see, what is medical profession? Just, Ugra, completely Ugra. What are antibiotics? How are they created? Everything is tested on live animals. And then they are tested on humans. You know that the tribals in India, Africa, Southeast Asia, they are paid money to try for drug trials and vaccine trials. And these people sometimes they meet horrible deaths because they don't know what is going on. In fact, I've heard that in Scandinavia, even these drug trials are carried out on immigrants, like low-paid immigrants, Africans and Arabs who just come from war zones and all. They are just paid some amounts to carry out some trials. So you see, and what is surgery? This is Rakshasa medicine. Brahmanas would do it through mantras. So you see, so in this way we see hospitals are not really some places sattvic. They are very much in tamoguna. So in this way, the whole, because it is based out of an industrial setup, and nowadays it's even more Rakshasa industry. How much can you pay? So we'll treat the patient accordingly. So if the patient cannot pay, then he's just kicked out. This happens very much in our own Bharatavarsha. And so many of our devotee doctors also do it. So you can see, if you can't pay, they won't treat you. So you see such a person, like how can he be a devotee? Like what? He's not even a basic human being. One can say, oh, every endeavor is covered with fault. But that is like, minuscule. One should not one's endeavor itself should not be a fault. So you're getting the point here, Prabhu. We're not saying that, we're not condemning anyone here. But what we are saying is that these activities are not conducive to bhakti.
Yeah, they seemingly look very white-collar jobs. Why label these three? And a few more are also there, but they seemingly look a white-collar job where externally it is like Sapoguna, but actually their entire base, the entire place is very grossly materialistic. So therefore,
Absolutely.
even sometimes devotees get carried away thinking that they are doing such a nice white-collar job. And nothing is a white-collar. Everything is tainted with blood.
Absolutely. So actually, yeah, devotees should minimize this. Actually, Prabhupada never encouraged industry work for devotees. In Prabhupada's times, no devotees are working in companies or any other place. Prabhupada's grahasthas were just book distributors and carrying out some simple business, or sometimes even agriculture. That was Prabhupada's vision. So it's a sad reality that we are forced to work because we don't have an ashram anywhere now. The whole social system is so collapsed. But certainly there's nothing to be proud of. See, that's what you see the last line of this purport. See, he should not become further implicated in the material body. We are becoming further and further implicated. As sinful karmas pile up on us, our consciousness gets degraded. If all day I am working in some sinful industry, that reaction is definitely coming, and that is corrupting my consciousness. It is acting at a subtle level. So I may think, why am I not able to chant properly? Why am I not able to understand scriptures properly? Well, that's because of bad association. You work in a sinful place, you are associating with sinners, you are taking their money, you are associating with them. So you are just like, the river of sin is flowing into you. How will you purify yourself? Your chanting, your reading may be just like a trickle. So we see that in the previous ages, people meditated for thousands of years to attain Krishna. And here we want to live in a gutter and meditate on Krishna. That's impossible. It's a hard fight. It's a very hard fight. So therefore, I think it is not befitting an intelligent man to involve himself again in the activities of sense gratification, by which he perpetually gets material bodies one after another. The delusion of Maya is that she convinces you what you're doing is right. Well, I'm such a great grahastha. Prajapati Daksha says, I am such a great grahastha. And this Narad Muni is such a like a low-class man. He has destroyed my home. We're going to see that in the next canto. So you see Prajapati Daksha cursing Narad Muni. At that time, he's abusing Narad Muni because he thinks he's a great grahastha. That is the delusion of Maya. So every time we start feeling happy or comfortable or proud of our position, that's a like, that's a sign, we should understand. That's a signal. Now we are in Maya. You can actually, make a big white chart and put a red signal over there and write these statements there. And then when you feel any of these sentiments, you feel happiness, you feel satisfaction, you feel pride in your profession, your education, read those lines and see the red signal and understand this is Maya. Krishna is saying, Dukhalayam ashashvatam. So how can there be happiness here? If I am experiencing happiness outside of Krishna consciousness, then I am certainly in illusion. So yes, one should not. So don't make your profession, your family the objective of your life. That is your responsibility. That is one of your responsibilities. If you say, for example, you're studying in a college, you may go to canteen to eat your food. You may come back to your hostel to sleep in the bed. But that is not the objective. A child doesn't say, Father, please pay me money so that I can go and sleep in a hostel. No, he goes to study in a university and then he can stay in a hostel. But that's just a side consequence, not the real objective. So yes, we have taken a body, we have responsibilities to fulfill, the Sharirik Dharma. But that is about it. It is not a priority. Real objective of human life is Brahma Jigyasa, attaining Krishna. As soon as you make Krishna your objective, everything will become very clear. Hare Krishna. So it can even affect devotees. If devotees don't make Krishna the objective, they'll be able to progress. Hare Krishna. Yes, any
Thank you, Prabhu, for guiding. Actually, really sincere and serious devotees should have no pride for their job. Whatever the world may say, it is good or bad, we should not be attached to our profession at all, actually. Yeah, we need to just do it because it's one of the needful means. We have been given some expertise or liking towards it, so we have to use it in Krishna consciousness just for our sustenance. That should be only our mode. In fact, instead of pride, we should feel very pitiful on our situation. We should always pray to God that we have to engage in this gross materialistic activity just to sustain in Krishna consciousness. That should be like our prayer or some sort of grievance to be put forward in front of the Lord. If you're not, you feel that, oh, that's so nice, the job is so nice, this profession is so nice, this career is so nice, and it is very conducive for Krishna consciousness. Actually, no profession is conducive for Krishna consciousness in this material world.
Yeah. Because that's why I said, you put this signal in front of you. If you don't put this signal, what happened in Odisha 3 days ago will happen to us also. In fact, our lives are exactly like that. Train wrecks. Because we don't see the signals which are given in the Shastras and we run headlong. And then we get derailed and we have collisions with Maya. And then we wonder what's going wrong with us. So that's a signal we should take. So if we feel any kind of satisfaction with our profession, we should understand that we are in Maya and we are actually in great danger. Because now, so understand this. Any satisfaction with material objects is an entanglement in the material nature. Dissatisfaction with material objects is a sign of freedom. Of course, I'm not saying that you should deliberately make your life miserable, but there will be enough miseries anyhow. So just like the sadhus, try to avoid the material nature as much as possible. Just live your life as simply as possible and try to dedicate all the time to Krishna. Yeah. So we continue text 5. Okay. What is this? There's a comment here. Okay, so we'll discuss this comment after the class. Just stay back, please. Parabhavastavad abodha jato.
Parabhavastavad abodha jato.
Yavanna jigyasat atma tattvam.
Yavanna jigyasat atma tattvam.
Yavat kriyastavad idam manovai.
Yavat kriyastavad idam manovai.
Karmatmakam yena sharira bandha.
Karmatmakam yena sharira bandha.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, am I right?
Yes, please.
Translation. As long as one does not inquire about the spiritual values of life, one is defeated and subjected to miseries arising from ignorance. Be it sinful or pious, karma has its resultant actions. If a person is engaged in any kind of karma, his mind is called karmatmaka, colored with fruitive activity. As long as the mind is impure, consciousness is unclear, and as long as one is absorbed in fruitive activity, he has to accept a material body. Purport. Generally, people think that one should act very piously in order to be relieved from the misery. But this is not a fact. Even though one engages in pious activity and speculation, he is nonetheless defeated. His only aim should be emancipation from the clutches of Maya and all material activity. Speculative knowledge and pious activity do not solve the problems of material life. One should be inquisitive to understand his spiritual position. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.37, Yathaidamasi Samedo Gnira Bhasmasat Kurute Arjuna Gnanagniha Sarva Karmani Bhasmati Bhasmasat Kurute Tatha. As a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. Unless one understands the self and its activities, one has to be considered in material bondage. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10.2.32, it is also said, Yene Ravindaksha Vimukta Maninas Twayi Asta Bhavad Avisudadha Buddhayaha. A person who doesn't have knowledge of devotional service may think himself liberated, but actually he is not. Aruhya Krishna Pranam Param Padam Tata Patanti Adho Nadrata Yusmad Angra Yaha. Such people may approach the impersonal Brahman effulgence, but they fall down again into material enjoyment because they have no knowledge of devotional service. As long as one is interested in karma and gnana, he continuously enduring the miseries of material life, birth, old age, disease, and death. Karmis certainly take on one body after another. As far as Gnanis are concerned, unless they are promoted to the topmost understanding, they must return to the material world. As explained in Bhagavad Gita 7.19, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gnanavam Mam Prapadyate. The point is to know Krishna, Vasudeva, as everything and surrender unto him. Karmis do not know this, but a devotee who is 100% engaged in the devotional service of the Lord knows fully what is karma and gnana. Therefore, a pure devotee is no longer interested in karma or gnana. Anya abhilashyam abhisati sunyam gnana karmanti anavratam. The real bhakta is untouched by any tinge of karma and gnana. His only purpose in life is to serve the Lord. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. As long as one does not inquire about the spiritual values of life, one is defeated and subjected to miseries arising from ignorance. Be it sinful or pious, karma has resultant actions. If a person is engaged in any kind of karma, his mind is called karmatmaka, colored with fruitive activity. As long as the mind is impure, consciousness is unclear. And as long as one is absorbed in fruitive activity, he has to accept a material body. So actually these verses, they are like one of the most often quoted verses of Srila Prabhupada. If you have studied Brahmacharya and Krishna consciousness by His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami, these verses are quoted quite often there also. So, and then Prabhupada has quoted these verses in Science of Self-Realization also. See, try to understand deeply the purport of these verses. As long as one does not inquire about spiritual values of life, one is defeated. So this is applicable to devotees also. Actually, these verses are meant for devotees. Ordinary materialistic people will not reach up to this level of study. But if we see, we have to understand who's a devotee, who's not a devotee. So to the extent we are surrendered to Krishna, we are devotees. To the extent we are not surrendered to Krishna, we are not devotees. So when we are, trying to enjoy this material nature, we are non-devotees. At that stage, we are not devotional. Because like Srila Prabhupada went to London and Paris also. But Srila Prabhupada never saw the Eiffel Tower. Srila Prabhupada never saw the Buckingham Palace. Srila Prabhupada went to Switzerland, but he never went to Lake Lucerne or, Zurich Mountain Railway or anything. He didn't do any of those things. Srila Prabhupada always explained, he said, wherever I go, I only see birth, old age, disease and death. What is there to see in this material world? In fact, Srila Prabhupada never even saw different corners of Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada stayed in Radha Damodar, and then he used to go to Delhi, he would come back, and after he left, after he went to the west, he came back, took the Raman Reti place, and they built the temple, and Prabhupada never left that place. So not that Prabhupada was traveling all around the places. So once he went for Govardhan Parikrama also, and that was also very practically done. So Prabhupada was not visiting different places. So the point here is that within this material world, we cannot really enjoy anything. What we consider enjoyment is nothing but a bondage to material nature. Be it sinful or pious, karma has its resultant actions. Now one may say, Prabhu, what I am doing pious activities, that will also bind you. Dvaite bhadra bhadra jnana sabha manodharma. Everything is just a mental concoction here. Ei bhala, ei manda, ei sabha bhram. This is all an illusion. This is good, this is bad. This is just an illusion. Like when Srila Prabhupada wanted to marry the second time, he had made the arrangements also, in fact. He was just about to get married. Gaur Mohan De stopped him. He said, no, this is just an illusion. You won't be able to take sannyas that way. It's better you stay married to a girl you don't like. That will be easier for you to take sannyas. And Prabhupada was just maybe 21 years old at that time. And Gaur Mohan De was already considering his sannyas. So you can imagine, this is the vision of a pure devotee father. So this was Srila Prabhupada. Of course, so there is another point here as well. Then why did Prabhupada become a Grahastha? Because Gaur Mohan De knew that at that time there were no genuine sadhus anywhere. So he didn't want his son to become a charlatan brahmachari. So Gaudiya Math was a very small organization at that time, very few people. So at that time, Srila Gaur Mohan De didn't know all of this. So he didn't want his son. He just thought his son should just become married, stay at home, and receive spiritual education. And he was hoping and praying that some genuine sadhu would come and train him. So that was his vision. Of course, those are very different days. Today, it's not possible anymore. I mean, we see that even then, Srila Prabhupada's wife was a bit more materialistic than he was. And Srila Prabhupada always considered that a hindrance to his bhakti. So we can see this, what is the vision of a devotee? The objective is always Krishna. If we are not inquiring about spiritual values, we are inquiring about material values. The more we are progressing in material nature, the more we are drowning in the material ocean. So even though one engages in pious activity and speculation, he is nonetheless defeated. So what is here stated, So Srila Prabhupada is quoting, Anya Bhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadya Anavritam. So you see, this verse is actually coming from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this is coming actually from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita also. So this is Anya Bhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadya Anavritam Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. When first-class devotional service develops, one must be devoid of all material desires. Knowledge obtained by monastic philosophy and fruitive action. Jnana and karma. Jnana karmadya anavrittam. We have to be free from this. Anukulyena Krishnanu. Everything, whatever is favorable. So, whatever is favorable, that we have to do. Anukulyena Krishnanu. Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. So, that is the cultivation. That is pure devotion. That is called first-class devotional service. But to the extent you are able to do, you should do. See, we are all at quite a later stage in our life. This time we should be seriously thinking only about the end of our life. There's now no more hopes for the future. At this time, now the only future is death. And we should work very actively towards it. because it's going to come sooner than we think. So at this stage, I know it's been years and years of conditioning and lifetimes of conditionings, but we have to press the brakes now. We have to stop something now, and we have to push forward towards bhakti. So first step is, like we were discussing yesterday also in the Hindi Gita, you take a piece of paper and write down what is the real objective of your life. That's not something you should be discussing with anyone. You don't even need to tell me about it. If you feel like you can, if you don't feel like it, you don't need to do that also. But you write down, take a diary or take a piece of paper and write down what is the real objective of your life. I mean, at least to yourself, you will be completely honest. You write down completely. What is the real objective of your life? Write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you think are the objectives of your life. And sort them in the order of priority. And you will see what is really happening here. What is really holding you back from bhakti? See, when you go to a hostel, when you go to a university to study, it's not that you neglect the hostel. So many of us have studied in hostels. At least me and Pranav Prabhu, we remember we have studied in hostels. So we take care that the room is comfortable, we are able to sleep properly and sit and study properly. But we don't decorate the room. We don't put, some fancy posters there, put some fancy disco lighting there, advanced music systems, Wi-Fi sound systems. No, whatever is basic to go by, we just do it. Because we know this is not the real objective. This is something we need, but only as a secondary need. The primary need is the university in which we are studying. The classroom, the teachers, the library, the books should be good. Otherwise, this is useless. So just like that, you find out which is the primary objective of your life. So if you think Krishna is the primary objective of your life and your profession is getting in the way, profession you can always keep as a secondary objective. You understand you need something to go by. You need some money to sustain yourself. You need some money to sustain your family. But you don't need that profession to be the objective of your life. You're not going to become Henry Ford or Elon Musk. You don't need to be that. You just need something basic to go by. Don't make a very lavish lifestyle. Keep it very simple. Engage more and more in Krishna's bhakti. Krishna is saying, Yogakshemam vahamyaham. Vahamyaham, I carry. So if you're a sincere devotee, you're trying to serve Krishna, will Krishna not protect you? So have that faith. So be ambitious, but not too ambitious. Be ambitious to serve Krishna. Krishna will provide you, because it is Krishna eventually who gives all the knowledge. Mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadya navrittam. So don't make even monastic knowledge. Sometimes when in bhakti, we see, oh, my son knows 700 verses of Gita. He can recite all of them. Or we do Gita recitation every week. Well, that's nice, but what is the purpose? Why are you doing it? Is it just to feed your ego? So that is jnana, because I'm just trying to know. I want to know how many forms of Mahavishnu existing. I want to know the dimensions of this universe. I want to know each incarnation of Krishna. What is the purpose? Why do you want to know? Are you going to serve all those incarnations? If there is Chaturvyuha, primary and secondary Chaturvyuha of Mahavishnu, of Sankarshan, are you going to worship their deities? Are you going to find out their activities and worship them and meditate on them? If not, then this is on the level of Gyan. This is just a curiosity. This is just a level of, feeding one's own pride that I know so much, because it has no practical value. The real practical value is to first purify ourselves. First, like Srila Prabhupada says, make relevant inquiries. What is needed? If I go to a doctor, if I have, say, for example, when I had my hand operation, I went to the doctor. I was not asking the doctor, hey doctor, what proteins should I take to develop my biceps and forceps? How many muscles and tendons in my hand? No, we had limited time. My only concern was, what is this growth in my hands? Can you remove it? The doctor said, yes, it will be removed and it is not dangerous. That was it. That was our transaction, because that was the real objective. So in bhakti also, we have to be very one-pointed. No point in acquiring so much of knowledge that just sits in our head. We have to advance quickly. So first, before we can advance, we have to purify ourselves. So all the inquiries must be towards that particular direction. How do I purify myself from gross and subtle contaminations? Is this, like when you are studying some books, try to ask yourself, why am I studying this book? Am I studying this to serve Krishna more, serve the devotees, to preach better, or am I studying this just to boost my own ego? If I speak like this in front of people, they will appreciate me. Is that the objective, or is the objective to actually enlighten them and bring them closer to Krishna? So always question yourself. So by surrendering like this, you will be able to purify yourself and you will be able to see everything in a clear light. So you see, so many instructions in this regard. Practically the whole of nectar of instruction is regarding this. So for example, we see here, again in Chaitanya Charitamrita, again Srila Mahaprabhu is saying, Anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyatiti vishvaso gopi tritve varnam tatha atma nikshepa karpanye shadvidha sharanagati. The 6 divisions of surrenders are the acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service, the rejection of unfavorable things, the conviction that Krishna will give me protection, the acceptance of Lord as one's guardian or master, full surrender, and humility. So you see, so these are the processes. These are the processes of bhakti. So acceptance of favorable things and rejection of unfavorable things. If I eat so much prasad that I fall asleep for 10 hours, then that prasad is also unfavorable. That is pratikulasya. Then it is no longer anukul. It is pratikulasya. So we have to give up that also. The Goswamis of Vrindavan, they were not eating anything. In fact, that very famous pastime which every devotee knows, that Sanatan Goswami was like eating, and then he was offering this rotis to Madan Mohan, and Madan Mohan appeared and to him and said, Sanatan, please give me something more. These rotis are unpalatable. So Sanatan Goswami replied, my lord, please make do with this only. This is what I get. I offer you whatever I have. How can I offer you anything more than what I have? So he said, at least you can offer me some salt with these dry rotis. And he said, like, where do I get the salt also? So at that time, some boat came, it got stuck, and then he was gifted some salt. So this pastime is very nice to hear. Sweet interaction between the Lord and his devotee. But what is the real purport? We have to think. Sanatan Goswami, Sakar Malik, the great minister of Nawab Hussain Shah, he was eating only dry rotis without even salt. Lord was also appalled by that. That was the level of renunciation, rejection of unfavorable things. You think these Goswamis wouldn't have gotten palatable food if they would have begged in Vrindavan? They were so beloved. What is that verse? That verse that comes in that song. Dhira Dhira Priyajanav. They were dear to both Dhir and Adhir, to saintly and rascals. They were very dear to everyone. But they were eating such basic prasadam, just doing basic madhukari, taking a little bit for themselves. But what were they doing? What were they accepting? They were accepting all the knowledge. They were accepting everything to serve Krishna. He accepted the donation of the businessman to set up the temple of Radha Madan Mohan. Sanatan Goswami wrote scriptures. Rupa Goswami, they wrote so many scriptures. So, Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. Then conviction that Krishna will give protection. Rakshishyatiti vishvaso. We don't have that faith actually. We think, unless I use my engineering skills, I will have no sustenance in this world. No, Krishna will provide. Have that faith. So it's a balance, we have to do it. Practically speaking, we have to balance our convictions. Gopi Tritve Varanam Tatha. So that he is the guardian, that Lord is the guardian and master. Gop Tritve Varanam Tatha. Atma Nikshepa Karpanye. So one has to surrender fully, full surrender. Shadvidha Sharanagati. Atma Nikshepa Karpanye. So this is, complete surrender in humility, understanding that Lord is the only master. So in this way, one can achieve devotion at the lotus feet of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments here? Sorry, we're running a little short of time.
Hare Krishna, Babuji.
Yes.
So anyway, you said that, but the question I expect is going to be quite a lengthy discussion. You said we must know what we should ask for, what we are supposed to do. It is very easy to listen from you. You are enlightened soul. You are telling us like this. A person like me, who doesn't know how to even to know what I should ask for, then how to get it? These are
So-
some such I thought if they can something like a brainstorming session of any one day when the devotees agree. So we should be more clear. At least I will be more clear in my thinking. What should I aspire for and how to get it?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
that's why. See, that's why we see the previous verse. One should perfect his life by associating with devotees. Sadhu Sangha. So, sadhus. See, I'm not getting these ideas from the sky. I mean, I also associate with sadhus. I had Shyam Vallabh Prabhu, then I was with Shyamanand Prabhu, then I was with Keshavanand Prabhu. So many devotees, I've got these ideas. Then there is Srila Prabhupada always there. So when we associate with sadhus, we discuss with them. Gradually, these ideas come to our mind. Like you have old army officers association, you have traders association. In these associations, like-minded thoughts are shared, like ideas are shared. So that way your knowledge is enhanced, because knowledge is always infinite. When you associate with like-minded people, you can share and expand your knowledge. So when we sit with sadhus, what is the topic they discuss? Engineers discuss engineering, lawyers discuss law, sadhus discuss Krishna. So when we associate with sadhus, our discussion is Krishna. So eventually we become attached to Krishna. So then we know how. So these are all activities which are related to Krishna.
Right, so Prabhu, for this one point itself, the sadhu sangha. I also realize also. So similarly, there will be more points. And my submission will be, if nothing else, we have 14 sadhus sitting here right now. So thanks to the technology that we have come closer to each other on this technology. Because for me, in Hyderabad, this corner, it is not possible to get any person virtually unless I go out 12 to 14 kilometers, that too once in a fortnight or a week. So that is, even I want, I know it, but it is not available. So that is one thing. So likewise, as you discussed just now, if we get more points, then of course we will build up. Then further we can build up. That is my submission when I said we must first know what we should want and how to want it.
Yeah. So, well, now you know, so no problem. Time is infinite. We are infinite. Na jayate amriyate va kadachin. So, no problem. Now this thought has come. This thought will remain forever. In whichever body you take, you will have the same thought coming back to you again and again.
True, Prabhu, true.
So, I'm also fortunate that I got this thought from someone. So now I have this thought. So this will continue life after life. And one day it will take us back to Krishna. So now you should preach it. When you preach it, you will reinforce this thought within yourself also.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one small question. Prabhuji, you said that Gaur Mohan De, he felt he didn't want Prabhupada to become a brahmachari because there were no genuine sadhus, he felt. But then when we read Lilamrit, it is given that he used to continuously invite sadhus at his place and ask them to bless Srila Prabhupada, that he becomes a servant of Radharani. But then if he didn't feel the sadhus were genuine, why would he invite them?
Well,
Was
he thought
just
at least
for the
some degree,
samskara?
at least like his sadhu to some extent. He knew their follies very much, but he also thought, at least some blessing the son child would get. He had hopes that at least someone would turn out to be a genuine sadhu. I mean, not that everyone was carrying a plaque, hey, I'm a cheat. They were all pretending to be sadhus. So yes, but Gaur Mohan De's concern was just his son. He just wanted Prabhupada to become sadhu somehow or the other. So he was trying. He was inviting different sadhus all the time.
I mean, that could even be because he wanted to put the samskara on Srila Prabhupada. You should be calling sadhus over and serving them like that.
Yeah, but then once Srila Prabhupada found Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, then Gaur Mohan De stopped. And he didn't do this. Because towards the end of this Leela, in 1936, when Gaur Mohan De was about to leave this body, Srila Prabhupada invited these Gaudiya sannyasis to come. And Gaur Mohan De mistook them for Mayavadis. So he was a bit discourteous with them. And as soon as they started talking and Gaur Mohan De realized that they are Gaudiyas, he immediately fell down on the ground. He offered his obeisances to them. So you see, we cannot understand the heart of a pure Vaishnava.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, so any other questions or comments? Okay, so there is one comment here. So whoever has made that comment can stay back, then we can discuss this. It's a long discussion discussing Keshavanand Prabhu's lecture. So we can discuss that as a private conversation. Okay, so we stop here. We meet again tomorrow, and we'll continue with this narration. Please be here. This is like one of the most important topics of Bhagavatam that we are studying. Of course, Bhagavatam is like nectar, it's sweet, but this is sweeter than the sweetest. So, like, I don't know how to have a comparative on a superlative, but that's how it is. So please be here tomorrow. We welcome you. If you want, you can invite your friends also, or anyone you feel like. This is really the most important discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada has quoted it so often. In fact, from here on till the whole canto, these instructions are going to be really very sweet. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Haribol Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Dandat Pranam.